Well, good morning, friends. It's about 5:15 in Statesville, North Carolina. Getting ready to hit the road. Yet another day is upon us. It is going to be a beautiful day. Looking at the weather, the clouds don't look real encouraging, but I did watch the weather all night. I was debating, honestly, of whether getting us up at 3:30 or 6:30 to either get a little earlier run to get in front of the weather or a little later run to go in behind the weather. That's just, you know, a guy that I'm an old mariner and I'm an old retired FAA guy. Just look at weather radar pictures and go, maybe we can get that gap, maybe we can hit the gap. It looks like right now that we can beat. There was kind of a split between those two things. You know, they're developing and dissipating, but there was a split between them. So our goal is to run in between the two at the bottom. And I think when we make our turn at Roanoke, everything is dissipating out to the northwest and we'll be behind everything. We may actually have to take a lunch stop and wait on weather to get out of our way because some of it does look pretty darn heavy, but the cold front is breaking it up a little bit too. So hopefully as the day moves on, it's 68 right now and feels very, very wet and humid. It's gonna get a lot better throughout the day. It's gonna get a lot cooler. I was gonna put my liner in my jacket this morning, but I think I'm gonna ride just like I am today, just a t-shirt and this little sunblock shirt with no liner in my jacket. I think I'd rather the engine run a little cool this morning than I would have it run hot. And then this afternoon, if I get a little chilly on the first available stop, I'll put my liner in my jacket, warm it up then. All right, well, let me run upstairs and get Coach Vic, because she's been known to drink an extra cup of coffee, and we might not get on the road until very late. She'll get mad when she sees this. All right, so we're all loaded up. I got a few things to straighten up before we roll, but everything is pretty good. It's a little later than we wanted. It's 5:42. We'll be on the road by 5:50.
Wow. No
harm, no foul, right? And the big thing, I've been watching the weather. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine today. Tomorrow, she ain't gonna be happy.
Oh.
Well, it could rain literally all day tomorrow.
I hope not.
Yeah, and when we go through Binghamton, it's supposed to be 41 degrees. I figured I'd let that little cat out of the bag now so she could ruminate over that all
tomorrow.
day.
But anyway,
so
I'm ready to go. I'm nervous, ready.
Yeah, she's been a little more nervous on this trip. Today is going to be pretty much, and this is by design, because we thought we were going to be in a lot of weather.
Today's interstate day?
Today's interstate day. So
heavy interstate day?
It's all interstate day. Because we thought it was going to be weather, and we want to make sure that if we're going to be in weather, we have off ramps, and we know that the water drainage along interstates is always superior. So we have to look at those kind of things for safety. If it's going to be a weather day, I'd rather be on a big road that has proper drainage, especially if I'm not familiar with the area. So it's by design. It's not going to make Coach Vic the happiest in the world.
It's going to be a long day.
It's going to be one of those days. We got to
get on the road, because right now we're looking at 6 o'clock arrival time.
Nah, we'll be there before then. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's put some miles behind us, girl.
Okay, here we go.
You know, as we roll out this morning, we always think about the old days, you know, when we were young, riding motorcycles and traveling and doing different things in our life. And we think about just a year ago, our trip to California and what it was, what it meant to us, and how this trip is completely different, you know. And I think that really comes as a surprise. I guess it shouldn't, and to some of you that may sound silly. We expect there to be a great similarity in the feelings that we have in every trip. But what's so odd, and that's one of the things that draws us back to touring, is every trip is different. And when I say different, I don't mean better or worse. I just mean different. Last year we laughed when we left Tallahassee, Florida. It rained within the first hour and a half. And we were like, man, early on, huh? But we were home. We were in familiar territory. On this trip, it looks more inclement. And when we checked the forecast, the extended forecast all week before we left, it looked superlative. I mean, it just was like we're not going to have any rain at all. And then when you get on the road, things change. Temperatures change. Weather forecasts change. And when all that happens, you just have to adapt and work with it. We try not to get too rattled about it or upset about it. Coach Vic is way more stressed on this trip. I would expect that. The traffic bothers her. She doesn't like the traffic, and yesterday was a lot of traffic, and there was just no way around it. It was just one of those things. We knew that all day after Columbia we were going to be on some roads that were prone to being more busy, and this morning likewise. We're going to be running up through I-77, and then we're going to grab 81 through Roanoke, and somewhere around Roanoke we'll make our first stop. We could go further. It just depends on how we feel and how the weather looks and everything, and we'll just keep an eye on it all. Just understand that every trip is going to be different and they're going to be fun, but everything has its challenges in life, and if you think that traveling on a motorcycle or a two-wheeler is any different, you're wrong. It just is going to. We love those challenges. That's part of what draws us to riding this odd machine across this beautiful country. All right. Well, enjoy the ride as we absorb this beautiful morning. You know, the North Carolina countryside is absolutely beautiful. The low-lying fog and the green trees, a little bit of moisture in the air. But it's just crazy. You'll be in like a really dense fog as you watch the fog just roll right down the side of a hill, and then you're right out in the open. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. As the fog burns off, we start to see the mountains of Virginia. Yes, we are about to cross the state line here in just a minute. It's funny, the diesel trucks in the south, because the roads are flat as a pancake, they really kind of hold a constant speed. But when you get into the hills, man, they fly down the hill and they crawl up it, and then they slam on brakes and try not to go off the road while going down it because they don't want to fly too much. Because we were gaining on this guy like he was sitting still, and now we're going down a hill, and I'm going to be moving over because I got somebody coming up behind me and he's pulling away now, so let's do that. Yeah, when you get into the bottom of these hills, the air gets quite cooler and wet feeling, but it just feels nice. We're going up. We start going up. Speed starts going down for him. Yes, that's just the way it is. I appreciate their hard work, man. Those guys, they got a tough job. So there is the Virginia Welcome Center. Welcome to Virginia, right over there. There it is. Haha, nice. Yep, we're going to be doing some serious climbing and descending today. And it's going to be awesome. The skies are really, really beautiful this morning. I sure hope we can hold this all day. Man, if we can, we are in for a stellar ride. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. You know, as you go up and down these hills, mountains, and you look out over these beautiful valleys, that's that fog that you're seeing down there that we were in just a little while ago. It is so beautiful. All right, so we have had a beautiful ride this morning, man.
Very beautiful.
It was just, I was actually somewhat speechless.
Speechless.
Which
You,
for me is kind of rare.
I know.
I didn't expect it to be quite that beautiful. Certainly not on the interstate, but it was wonderful.
It was. The fog, the quietness, mountains, the farms, beautiful.
77 north of Charlotte. Two
Gotta
thumbs
take a ride
up,
up there.
man. Definitely 2 thumbs up. We're on 81 now. We're looking at the weather further up down the road. Up, down.
Up, down.
Further up down the road, and it looks like the weather up around where we're going in Pennsylvania is pretty nasty right now. The hope is that all of that stuff will be blown out of there by the time we get there. I didn't realize your shirt had the little
I
thumb
know,
holes.
look at that. Me neither until I bought it.
Are you cold?
It's not real bad, but I want to be warm. But
It's
yeah,
cooler
good.
now than when we left this morning. It was, what was it when we left? 68. It was 68, then it got up to as high as 72, and then it's like 62 right now. So it's dropping. It's going to drop another 10 degrees probably before we get to where we're going. Certainly,
Yeah.
if that cold front keeps pushing through, it could drop 15 degrees. So
But it's not hot.
we got the liners in the jackets, and you're going to put your rain jacket on over your jacket.
Yeah, I never thought I would be excited about cool weather.
Yesterday took it out of you, didn't it?
Didn't like it.
It was a tough day yesterday. What do you say we, I don't know where our next stop is. Do you remember where it is? No,
I don't remember.
She don't
Woodstock,
remember.
Woodstock.
Is it Woodstock? Yeah, I
Something
think
like
it
that.
is. It's Woodstock, Virginia. Yeah, that's next.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Woodstock, Virginia. Here we come. Immediately after getting back on the road, it was amazing how rapidly things began to change. The rain started, you could feel the wind blowing the Spyder around the road, and we knew we were going to have to stop and suit up. So let's find an exit and take care of much needed business.
And just like that, the storm came up. It is down in the 50s already, and it is raining, and we are stopped changing out some cameras and gear. We had to stop early. We've only made 60 miles since our last stop, but we're just gonna press on through. I think we're gonna be just fine.
Yeah.
But I gotta get Coach Vic off of this machine and get her rain gear britches on her, because if she gets cold, or if she gets wet, the cold is gonna really be brutal. And I think I need to get my rain gear on as well. All right, let's do this.
You know, it wasn't long before that temperature just dropped right on through the 50s and into the 40s. And it started to feel a little chilly. Coach Vic and I started to laugh and talk about the old days in high school when we would go to football games in the fall, and how you would sit in the stands and be cold and drink that cup of hot chocolate and hang out with friends. And, or in my case, I was out on the field most of the time. But those times in high school when you were out in the cool weather and you appreciated the friendship and the camaraderie. And that's what we enjoy and appreciate as we ride together. The friendship, the camaraderie. Because you see, we're a lot more than just husband and wife. We like each other. We love hanging out together. It is a beautiful but chilly day. And with a little rain on the pane, that just seals the envelope. It's going to be a great ride.
All right, so we are in Winchester, Virginia, and it's cold, if you can't tell.
Cold and raining.
Hold that for a second so I can lower
Coach
this.
Bob is torturing me.
Yesterday, it's hard to believe that just 24 hours ago, we were cooking in 100-degree weather. And right now, all right, Coach Vic, are you ready?
Yeah.
It's in the 40s. It's going to be 44 when we get to Wilkes-Barre.
That's so bad.
Oddly enough, it's supposed to be warmer when we get up in the morning than it is when we get there this afternoon. But we got a warm cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Got wonderful company.
I ain't feeling too wonderful.
You're looking wonderful.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you know, you're just a little chilly, that's all.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the lady in this 7-Eleven here in Winchester gave us a cup of coffee. Isn't that nice?
Very nice.
She saw that we were cold, and I went to pay for the coffee. She goes, "You just take it. Y'all enjoy that cup of coffee. Be
Very
safe."
nice.
So I'm going to get Coach Vic on the CanAm, and we are going to roll on to wherever it is we get gas next time, because we only had to make a couple of extra stops for rain. Our gas situation is a little different now.
Yeah.
I want to do about 140, 150 miles before we stop next time. And then our last run will be like 70, 80 miles. Still won't be too bad. We're about 215, 220 miles from our destination, so not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
Coach Vic's wanting to do an extra night or two in motels on this trip.
Okay, I'm gonna cry.
Give me a kiss right there, just a little bit. Just, there you go, that was good enough. Nice try.
I know.
Here, hold that one, hands up. All right, we'll shut this thing down.
All right.
Brr.
as we leave North Carolina and blast through Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and enter the great state of Pennsylvania. We know our day is getting short. It's getting near to the end. You know, even though it is cold and dark and it has been a chilly, chilly day, I can only sit here and think about how wonderful this country is as I drive across it. What makes it great? The people that are here, the beautiful landscape, the scenery, the parts of this world that people drive by every day and never recognize what it really and truly is. You know, the old farmland reminds me of when I was a boy going out to my grandfather's farm in Florida. Although the landscape is dramatically different and the temperature is certainly different, it still has that feeling of home, of calmness, of beauty. That is one of the many things I love about riding a motorcycle. You would think that after all of these years, that through the cold and the heat and the rain and adversity that you're constantly contending with from being exposed to the elements, that you would get tired of this. But for some reason, I never do. The smell, the feel, the vibe, the camaraderie, all of it. It's just super sweet. Our next stop, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Well, look at us. We're right back where we started.
Coach Bob's making me tough.
You are tough. You don't need me to make you tough, sissy. You are tough. We are in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Temperature's around 48 degrees. When you're exposed to the cold, though, for a long period of time, even if it's not brutally cold, it gets a little chilly. I will say this, there's no sun out and everything's wet, so it just makes it more damp feeling. That was like it was on cue. If the camera appears to be shaking, it could be because my hands are shaking a little bit. Yeah, the bones are a little cold right now, but no worse for the wear.
We're almost done for the day.
Yeah, less than 100 miles to the motel.
No quitting allowed.
So not far. I don't know exactly what time it is. We'll be there, I'm thinking 4:30-ish, something like that.
Yep, no quitting allowed.
Not too bad.
No quitting.
See, when I get cold, I drink coffee. When Vicky gets cold, she eats Fritos.
I haven't eaten. I'm hungry. This is my lunch when we ride.
I will say that the road up here was beautiful. The traffic's started to pick up.
Oh, I saw an Amish.
Yes.
Buggy trailer.
Yeah, we sure did.
Horse and buggy.
Yeah. In fact, there was an Amish lady in this store.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was she dressed all in Amish?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah. Coach Vic. She is cold, y'all. She is cold.
I think it's because my clothes are kind of damp inside. From the rain earlier.
Damper inside for the rain.
So I think it's making me a little chillier.
But 81, it did start picking up. The traffic did pick up. We got into Pennsylvania, a little busy, and then we were on the outlying areas, northwest of DC. It got a little jumpy in there. But other than that, it hasn't been real bad.
Yeah, for a highway.
This stretch of road, I will say that 77 north of Charlotte and 81 they're nice roads. They're nice roads. Not heavily crazy traffic, beautiful scenery, lots of green farmland, just really, really nice road to travel. So if you're on the east side of the country, I would certainly recommend this over 95. We've ridden 95. 95's jumping, man. It's jumping. You'll get run over on that thing. I mean, you can get run over on anything, but this one, pretty reasonable. I won't call it I-10 and I-8 reasonable as in West Texas, but it still gets done. It'll get her done. Without further ado, I'm going to get a little coffee down my neck and get my booty on this seat.
And we're going to get there to the
We're going to get there, and next stop is where?
Oh, Wilkes-Barre.
Just seeing if her brain was still engaged. Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Here we come.
funny. You have your cruise set, right? You're just riding along and you run up on somebody and you start to go around them and then they speed up. It's like they don't want you to pass them. I guess it's a race. It's just not a race to me. I'm cool with it. You know, the landscape, as you can see, is absolutely stellar. Oddly enough, the temperature has come up like 8 degrees. It's 54 degrees. It's much warmer than it was earlier. Coach Vic, when I got her off the Can-Am at that last stop, man, her whole body was shaking. I'm trying to convince her that it's going to be okay tomorrow, but she's a little nervous. The weather's looking a little, we'll just say questionable. Colder and wetter. You know, every time I'm in this part of the country, when I say in this part of the country, primarily in the Virginia area, not this far north, but I always think about the Appalachian Trail and friends that I have that have hiked all the way through, hiked it. Some have, you know, just have done the little section hiking where they've hiked the entire thing sections at a time. Some have done Sobo, that's the southbound, and there's a flip-flop where you do half of it on one side and half of it on the other. And then there's just the traditional through hike, and that's where you start at Springer and then go all the way up to Katahdin in Maine. And being we're going to Maine, it just really instilled it even more. A family member of mine has hiked the AT in completion, totally completed it twice. It really is an amazing feat, over 2,000 miles, and the amount of climbing and descending. And anyone who's ever hiked any of the AT, I've done from Springer to Damascus. Yes, I've done from Springer to Damascus. I was about to say I had not done that section from Abington to Damascus, but I back hiked it in one day. It was about 25, 26 miles just to close off that little section. But this family member of mine lived in Florida for years and years and years and years and years and hiked the Appalachian Trail, and had gotten off in the little town of Damascus, Virginia, where they have the Trail Days celebration there in May every year. He had done this a couple of times and realized how much he loved the area and ended up buying a home in Damascus, Virginia, and still lives there. Been there for years now. But the Appalachian Trail gets in your blood. The day in, the day out, you know, they have what they call 0 days where you don't hike at all. And then you have your big days. And one of the things that I learned early on when we were hiking the AT is that we would get up early and we would hike for about an hour or two before breakfast every day. And those extra miles that we could get in were always so beneficial. I just love it. Pass me, slow down 5 miles an hour. There you go. That's what you do. That's how you do it. Let's try this again. There again, I'm not in a hurry, but I don't want to sit behind people either. All right, but anyway, back to the story. It's amazing how hiking gets into your blood, and the idea of getting up early and getting those extra miles in. And you know, 3 to 4 miles an hour on the AT is pretty fast. So to hike, you know, 20, 30 miles a day, you know, you're talking 8 to 10 hours of hiking, which is nice. I mean, if you just will pace yourself and work through all of it, it really is fun. And for anyone who's ever done it, like I said, it absolutely gets into your blood. And for years I wanted to through hike the AT. As I got older, that desire to do that with the knee issues that I had experienced just kind of waned. And then Coach Vic and I got the Spyder and started touring. And now this is something that she and I can do together. And this has become Coach Vic's AT. This is what she calls it. This is her AT. Whenever things get tough, she has a little buff, a little Survivor buff. She always wanted to be on the TV show Survivor. And now she takes that buff, she looks at it and goes, this is my Survivor. And today's challenge is make it through this or make it through that. Our motivations, you see, are a lot more than just seeing things. Although seeing things is wonderful and we love seeing things, our motivation is much greater than that. It's the challenge of the miles. of enduring the weather, all of those things. One day that will become lackluster, and you know, who knows what will happen. But right now, I love it, and I can't imagine not doing this at least one big trip a year. I'd like to do more. But Coach Vic, this trip's beat her up pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. She's pretty tired, man. She's struggling a little bit. She's tough. I'm not worried about her, but the understanding that she has come to grips with is that feeling. We talked about it last night, that feeling when you're on the AT, when you're hot, you're cold, you're wet, nasty, dirt covered, all of those things that happen on the AT, and you get on the Spyder and it's a lot easier, but all of those things are still a reality and part of touring. It's as easy or as hard as you make it. You can do 100, 200, 300, 400, whatever you want to do every day, you can do. And you can set your own pace. You can choose to ride in the rain or not. You can choose to ride in the cold or not. You can set your own ground rules. It's much easier here on this than it is, say for example, on the AT. Once you're out in those woods, you ain't got much of a choice. You're gonna have to do your thing, because you're out there, you're in it, and there ain't no way home except to walk out. And this is the terrain that you hike in, and it is awesome. It's just awesome. Well, let's enjoy some of this beautiful Pennsylvania landscape as we cruise and get a little bit closer, just a little bit, to Wilkes-Barre. Well, I had to stop and reset some cameras. Imagine that. Never, never, never. Oh, that's okay. We don't mind. I wanted you to be able to come along with us, and if I don't reset the camera, you wouldn't be here. This is the rock. Isn't that amazing? You know, when we went through Arizona, now of course I am not a geologist by any stretch of the imagination. I just know the rocks were all that brown and orange like that. Of course, they weren't wet like that, but they were the same colors. In Pennsylvania, the landscape reminds me a lot of that area. You know, the hills and the mountains, certainly the West Texas feeling. Let's close this visor here. That West Texas, Eastern Arizona feeling, or Eastern New Mexico. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's the one. And Arizona, of course. But it has that feel, that open feel here in Pennsylvania, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's beautiful. Again, the rain just kind of, you know, spit on us all the way out today. Keep stopping, starting, stopping, starting. I did notice when I was resetting the camera though, Coach Vic, she is shivering, the poor thing. Got to get her to the motel and get her in a warm shower, thaw her bones out. We may have to do a 0 day tomorrow if she can't warm up tonight. Yesterday she was pretty exhausted. She was telling me that 1 year has made a big difference in her ability to endure things. But yeah, we're just 20 minutes from the motel, so we're there. We're knocking on the door now. The thing that amazes me about this country, and you know, I'm speaking from the US of A paradigm, because I'm not a world traveler. I am a continent traveler. I am a United States of America traveler. But it's how rapidly things can change and how different the landscape can be, from flat to hilly to hot to cold to wet to dry. You name it, man. It is just nuts how quickly it can change. And if you're stressed out over being cold, give it a day, you'll be burning. And you know, if you're stressed out over burning up, give it a day, you'll be freezing your rear end off. It's crazy. It's crazy. Nice little chaparral. But it is true, the weather can rapidly change and you can just enjoy whatever. But I sure am glad you're coming along to ride with us. If you would do me a favor, give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and really do it. Really do it. All right, man. Well, let's enjoy the greenery. Looks like the air's drying out a little bit. Well, the air's not, but the there is no vapor hitting me, which I'm grateful for that. All these roads keep splitting, and every time they split, the traffic gets less and less and less and less and less. It's going to be an interesting day tomorrow. We'll talk about our breakdown tonight. When we do our closeout, I think when we get back to the motel, I'm just, like I said, just going to drop Vicky off in the motel and have her going in the room and all that. And while I'm geared up, I'll go ahead and, just in case it starts raining again, go out, top the Spyder off, get all my mileage and all my data from the trip. I haven't done as good on gas mileage today, but I've had to go faster in order to keep from getting run over. And I have driven a lot more aggressively today, getting around traffic and trying to get Coach Vic from place to place to place. And I'm glad we chose the path of the interstate today. It has been very good for us to be able to get off when we need to, when she's cold and needs a good hot cup of coffee. I drink the coffee and she just puts her hands around the mug and warms her little bones up in her hands. Well, we're going to head on to the motel and we will talk to you through the power of YouTube in our motel room. So how you feeling there, Coach?
Don't put this on camera.
I want to see, look, I want to see your teeth chitter. I want to officially go on record. You are a rock star.
I know I am.
I love you, baby.
I know.
I know it's been a hard day.
It's not hard, it's just cold.
Cold. All right, let's get this chair out of here, get her in here, and then I'll go gas things up and I'll get her warmed up. We got to warm her bones up. The old man, he don't get cold. I guess I don't get cold because I already got ice water running through my veins. Poor Coach Vic, man. She's something else. Look at me. Tearing my jacket up. All right, let me get this helmet off and I'll get you off of this thing, okay? All right, so time to walk down to Red Robin and get Coach Vic and I a couple of hamburgers. Got her settled in the room, thawed out. A couple of hours have gone by. Man, she was bone chilling cold. Big news about tomorrow. We'll share that with you in the closeout, but be sure and stick around for that. I gotta walk down here to Red Robin. It's about, I don't know, I think about a quarter mile away, something like that. I can see it out the window. It ain't too far. Fourth floor, we're popular. It's a slow elevator though. When you get to the bottom, it's like some waiting. Does that right there. Then it goes, then it opens up. All right, here we go. Elevator music. It's gonna be cold out here. It's in the 40s. And because I'm from Florida, I'm wearing shorts and sandals. I'm an idiot. Oh, I don't care. Let's go get a boogie. All right, so not too bad. One lap around the track. It ain't far. It's a quarter mile. Ain't nothing to it. 400 meters. But it is cold. Curbside service. Oh, here we go. Got the burgers, got the drinks. Next stop, motel. So Coach Vic won't be hungry. Let me tell you. If you could have been a fly on the wall and heard her talking when we got done with today. Oh, man, my ears are still ringing. She really wasn't mad. She was hurting pretty bad. The cold really had her hurting, you know. Her paralysis burns were real bad. The wind's blowing. I'm sure it's terrible on the camera, so I'm going to shut it down here. I hate wind noise. We'll see y'all at closeout. Be sure to stick around for that. It's going to be good. All right, well, if the attire looks a little different and everything looks a little odd, it's because we took a 0 day.
took a 0 day.
A 0 day, for those not in the know, is an Appalachian Trail thing where you take 0 days when you start burning out on hiking and you get emotional and exhausted. You take a 0 day, and those 0 days can make the difference in a great travel day the next day. We took a 0 day. Yesterday, Coach Vic was abysmally cold.
It was cold. Rainy and cold.
Teeth chattering, shivering. Her muscles in her shoulders and neck were all sore this morning.
When I woke up this morning,
like
feel
she
like I
worked out
out.
yesterday. It was a tough day yesterday for her. It was cold. But this trip, we've had everything thrown at us. We've had the heat, we've had the rain, we've had traffic. It's been all over the place, which makes it an adventure.
It's been good. It is an adventure.
So now, Coach Vic, you said 2 days ago, I'm done with the heat. Are you okay now? You think you're okay now?
Yeah. After I was looking forward to the cold, but man, I can't decide which one I could rather have, the intense heat or the intense cold. It's hard to decide which one I can.
Which one you can handle?
I can handle the longest. I think I want the heat, but I don't think my body can handle the heat as well as I can handle the cold right now. Because the heat, I got real like lightheaded and drained, but the cold didn't make me feel that way. But anyway, 2 extremes I've experienced in 24 hours, or we both experienced in 24 hours.
Yeah, it was crazy how you're like, man, we're blistering hot, and then the next day you're like, I'm pretty cold. But it was a nice ride. It was beautiful in the morning, and then the weather went south after we left Roanoke shortly after that.
But the roads to here, the interstate that we rode, the traffic really wasn't bad at all. So it was pretty comfortable ride. I mean,
for the most part,
it was pretty comfortable riding, not really being nervous in the traffic. So it wasn't that part wasn't that bad, thank goodness. We did see some pretty scenery.
Yeah, the landscape was nice. It really was.
Don't say that.
So let's talk a little bit about mileage, though, because that's one of the questions that I've been asked a few things in emails already about mileage. How far have you gone? What have your days looked like? How are they tallying up for those who might have come into a little episode here, a little episode there? So let's talk a little bit. Day 1 was Tallahassee to Naples, was 402.7 miles. Day 2 was Naples to Key West and back up to Florida City, 388.9 miles. So 2 low mileage days for us. But I will tell you, those days to me were much more difficult than the big mile days that we do, because there was a lot of standstill traffic. In fact, the Florida City day, we averaged, like 36 miles an hour. It was crazy. It took forever. And that's just the way it was. Day 3 was just going to see Coach Vic's sister. It was a short little 127 mile day run up there. And then from South Florida up to our house, 412 miles. And that gave us a total for the Florida portion of the trip, 1,340.8 miles. Those little mile days do add up. They really do. So if you're doing those days, I'm trying to get comfortable here. If you're doing those days, then you just understand they will add up. You will cover some ground. We weren't in a big hurry in Florida. We know where we are. We were visiting family. It was an easy part of the trip. But it had to be done.
Right.
And then we had the little problem we know about it. You've seen all that. Then the northern leg, what I would consider the northbound leg of this trip, running up to Maine. This is day 5, which was a couple of days ago. We went from Tallahassee to Statesville, North Carolina. That trip ended up being 510.2 miles, which gave us a total of 1,851. And then yesterday was 544.2 miles for a grand total of 2,395.2 miles.
And that was from Statesville, North Carolina
to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And most of that was in the rain.
Most of it was in the rain, yes.
Just so you can do a 500-mile day in the rain. You can do it. We did it.
We did it.
All right. So that's where we are. Tomorrow is going to be an interesting day. The weather's supposed to be better. That's why we did the 0 day.
Because it was really supposed to have been really bad today.
It was basically every radar picture that we looked at, regardless of when we left, showed an 80 to 100% chance of rain for 466 solid miles, and temperatures never getting above 45 degrees.
And the temperatures are raising tomorrow. And the rain wasn't supposed to be there, but I'm seeing it building again. So hopefully by the time we start in the morning,
it's all showing.
It's going to be gone by the time we get to each spot.
Yeah, all of the forecasts are showing that we should be fine tomorrow.
I hope, yeah.
And we're just going to, and if we're not, you know what? We're going. We're going to ride
But
tomorrow.
it's going to be cold still, but not as cold as it would have been today.
And if we get wet tomorrow, that means that we'll just have to go slower. But there will be at least half of the ride that's dry, which means that we would only be looking at 230 miles in the rain.
Okay.
You know, if we have to do 230 miles in the rain, we'll do it.
And Tuesday's looking very, very nice.
Tuesday was the next day is the one that is the most important. That's the day we go up to Fort Kent. But let's talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wilkes-Barre to Binghamton, New York, about 80 miles. Binghamton to Albany, 140 miles. Albany to Concord, 148. And Concord to Portland, another 100 for a total of 466 miles. Could be a little different, could be a little more, could be a little less, but that's just the rough estimates that I have in there. Those are our gas stops. We've got 2 of them that are 100 miles or less, and 2 of them that are 150 or less. So that's way less than we normally do. Mm-hmm. The early leg will be off super early. If we can be on the road 5:30ish, by 6:45 we'll be drinking a cup of coffee.
Right.
So that should actually be very, very nice.
Yes. Yeah.
How are you feeling after a 0 day? Do you
I
feel
feel
better?
refreshed, yes. Got to sleep in late this morning. We went out to the restaurant, Red Robin, and had a salad. We ate really light today.
I'm confused. We slept in?
No, okay, I slept in, but even though you didn't sleep, well, I didn't sleep the whole time. I laid in bed, watched TV. I just chilled. Okay, I didn't sleep. I chilled.
I had to get up and go to Walmart to get us some
leggings
and stretch pants to put on under our jeans so we don't freeze our
I didn't
hoochies
actually
off
sleep.
tomorrow.
I was up early. I was awake early, but didn't get out of bed till later.
It's okay, honey.
Then we walked over to Red Robin and had a light lunch.
It was good.
It was nice.
It was very nice.
It was actually raining when we went over there, so.
Yeah, we couldn't get out of the rain.
So
we walked over in the rain.
It was only, what?
Quarter of a mile.
That's a lap?
That's one lap around the track.
Oh, it looks shorter than that. So anyway, we did that. It was nice. So it was nice to have a down day, a 0 day. Yes.
0 days are sweet. Tomorrow.
Part of me felt kind of guilty because I was like itching, like this. We shouldn't be sitting here wasting time. But it was nice to sit here and waste some time.
Well, look, that's the thing is when you get on the road, and we've said this before, and this is probably the first time you've seen us exercise that liberty, that freedom that we have on the road, is that if you feel you shouldn't go, don't go. You are responsible. We are responsible for our security. You're not. We're responsible for our security. Now, judging from some of the things we're told, you would think others are responsible for our security, but really we are. And you're responsible for yours. What you wear when you ride, the conditions you ride in, the machine you ride, everything and everything in between, all of that is your responsibility, our responsibility. So when you get tired, slow down, stop, take the time. Your life could very well depend on it.
True. Oh, little something I've done on a couple of days. I've started not all semis obviously, but out of 11 semis I went the toot toot thingy. 6 out of 11 have honked their horns. The other 5 did not. 4 of them, so I guess one left over, I actually saw staring at this is bad, staring at their phones, because I will look up and see them. They're actually looking down at
big 18-wheeler, 70 miles an hour down the interstate, looking straight down at their phone.
They didn't even see me do that to beat the horn. So
that's crazy, isn't it? It's pretty scary.
Yeah.
That's pretty scary. That's what you're driving around out there, folks. Be careful. Yeah, she's supposed to tell me, let me know. That way I don't run off the road.
Well, the first one I didn't. But some of them do honk, which is kind of fun. So.
They do. A lot of them do, yeah.
Yeah. Wrap up of
the wrap up of
our Pennsylvania trip.
Pennsylvania portion.
The Pennsylvania portion.
Look at you. So any epiphanies, have you learned anything? I know I've learned some things, but any takeaways that you had from the cold, wet day?
It wasn't fun during it, but looking back at it now, I'm like, it was a challenge that I overcame. I'm not driving, but I'm sitting in the back enjoying myself. But and I also learned that when your communicator device dies and your cell phone dies, riding in the rain and the cold, it's a long ride.
But I'm going to put a picture right here.
Oh,
This is
no.
what you do when your communicator dies and you want to listen to your radio show.
And I have a little bit of battery life on the phone is what I did. Yeah.
Unbelievable. I look back, I'm like, what are you doing? I'm trying to listen to my radio show.
It didn't last long until I had 20% on my phone. So next time, before I leave tomorrow, I'm going to make sure everything is charged, because riding in the rain when it's cold for over an hour, it makes the hour last really long. I like my podcast because it makes it go by. Not that I don't want to talk to Coach Bob. I just need to listen to a podcast. It makes time go by.
I'm just not
fast.
as interesting.
You are interesting. It just makes the podcast. It's just something different, and it makes the podcast good. It makes the time go by faster. So, but yeah, there was a while there I was like, ooh, this is tough.
It is
Anyway,
tough.
my
It's
takeaway-
hard.
but
It's hard
anyway,
stuff.
Gotta have some sort of music or talking going on while it's
Oh,
raining.
oh,
So,
this chair goes back.
and once you accomplish that ride, whether it's hot or cold or whatever the
We're
situation
cold
is,
or hot.
whatever the situation is, you have a good, you feel very accomplished.
One of the things that we talked about
A challenge.
is does it take a special mindset to ride? I think it does. You really have to be able to, in your brain, accept the idea that you are not in control of the weather, and letting that go and being willing to become a part of that environment and go, I can ride in this, and as long as I don't feel like I'm unsafe, I can handle this.
And there are times I'm saying in my brain, I actually was talking out loud because you couldn't hear me because the communication device wasn't working, was dead. I would be like, I'm walking the AT trail, I'm walking the AT trail, or it's just gonna sound really cheesy. I'm on Survivor, I'm on Survivor.
That doesn't sound cheesy.
So
at
I
all.
think of those things in my head while I'm going through a moment of really hot or really cold, or if the situation is not really comfortable or something.
Well, that's what we, and that is, in sports, we call that visualization, positive thoughts, all of those things that we do that allow us to overcome difficult, trying situations. When you're in pain, you don't focus on the pain. If you do, you'll never get anywhere.
Right, you gotta think of something else.
You have to focus on something positive. And that visualization really, really does help. So we're going to wrap things up here. We're going to pull things together. You can see the room's kind of a mess. I've got computers and cameras scattered everywhere.
He is a mess. You got a big mess going on.
I do. I've got a lot going on. Trying to get a few things edited and keep everything squared away. Plus, we had to do a little bit of shopping and lunch and all that stuff. So there's a lot to do.
And we saw some riders today at the restaurant.
We did. We saw some guys that
They
were putting
came
in
in
big
drenched.
miles.
Yeah,
But they left from Virginia. They weren't as far as we rode yesterday, but they still had another 3 hours. Anyway, whether they left here or not, if you guys are watching this, we did mention the channel to you. If you're watching this, the three guys that were at Red Robin with the Shoei and Arai helmets, the Harley riders and the Indian rider, God bless you guys. It was great talking to you. Great meeting you. It was really cool to hear fellow riders' stories and experiences about riding in the cold, wet weather. So anything you'd like to add before we go there, Miss Vicky?
that's about it.
I can go with that. So remember, until next time, go out, buy the motorcycle of your dreams, eat right,
Take care of yourself.
and remember, if you're not having fun,
You're doing it wrong.
you definitely are. You go seize the day. We'll see you on the road real soon.